Championing the trade with a dedicated call centre.
This is News Talk.
Hello there, you're very welcome along. Really good show for you this evening. We have two of Limerick's finest on the way. Andy Lee's in studio talking all things boxing, plenty going on. We had Windsor Park obviously on Saturday night. And then Shane Dowling. In truth, we've been trying to get Shane Dowling for about 2 days now, and we've got him twice and it didn't work, and then we got him a third time this afternoon and it did work, and he was class. Really good interview coming your way from Shane Dowling around 7:30. Noel Hunt on the show as well, back playing his football with Waterford in the League of Ireland. He's coming up around 9:15 or so. And then on the football show, Mark Lawrenson on Liverpool, and Paddy Agnew as well will tell us more about Chelsea's new manager Sarri, who's very interesting in a whole host of different ways. 53106, the text number. We are at Off The Ball on Twitter. Will O'Callaghan here as well. Hello.
Evening, Joe.
And the aforementioned Andy Lee. Hello.
Hi, Joe.
My favourite fact about Sarri at Chelsea, and there are a few, he smokes 5 an hour.
Yeah.
So do the maths on how many that is a day. I don't know how many days he's awake, so or hours he's awake in a day. So 5 an hour is Sarri's go-to amount, and he's getting a smoking area built at Cobham and Chelsea because everyone's there is too healthy and they don't smoke, and so there's that. But also I didn't realise with Sarri, maybe it's very well-known knowledge, but I hadn't known, he was a banker until he was 40.
Yeah, I'd seen somewhere that he started like way down the leagues.
Serie D.
Yeah, and then it's worked. So started.
I don't want to give you the alphabet, Andy, but there's A, B, and C, and then there's Serie D.
Yeah.
Which is no good. So he was working in the bank till he was 40, had no playing career, had no nothing. Like the odds of him at 40 being the Chelsea manager, Napoli manager within 15 years are a billion to one. Yeah. So we'll find out how he did it from Paddy Agnew. Obviously you're a Limerick man.
Yep.
So sit back, enjoy. We played this about twice last night. We'll give it one more run. What the hell?
Well, after a wait since 1940, we have Limerick, the All-Ireland champions, the worthy All-Ireland champions.
They've been through a lot over the last 40 years, in a sporting capacity and maybe even in a social capacity.
They were looking down and out, but they've come back to win by 6 points. Offaly 3-16, Limerick 2 goals and 13 points. What a comeback. Limerick just somehow hadn't it in them today, and it's Wexford who win by 2 points. Limerick did their level best, but it wasn't to be. Kilkenny had a wonderful start.
The 19th of August 2018, who will be All-Ireland champions? Who will see their dreams turn into reality? Whose names will be etched in history forever?
There's a green wave just sweeping down towards Hill 16 now. They're attacking from all angles. Kyle Hayes again. He's got the run of the place. He's making himself at home. Picked up by McInerney. He's at his pocket pick by Morrissey. He's in. He's going. Oh, what a goal! Tom Morrissey with an absolute classic. Mistake by Toohey. Seized on by Peter Casey. He's got a man inside. It's Dowling who wants it. Gets it. Dowling!
I thought we were home and hosed, and credit to Galway, they came back into it and thundered into it. Joe Canning really led the way there, you know, but
Canning! Oh, it's a goal! 27 goals for Joe Canning, and this one is worth its weight in gold.
Just the last couple of minutes, the last 8 or 9 minutes was just the worst ever, like from 70 on. I thought it'd never end, and they were coming and they nearly caught us, you know.
Between his own 45 and 65, it's going to drop short, but where will it fall? It's in a Limerick hand. It's taken clear. Limerick have done it. Limerick have won it, and they get the fairy tale finish after 45 years. Such a fool for you. You got me wrapped around your finger.
Brilliant.
So you were there?
I was there, yeah. Great. Hard to put it into words, you know, the range of emotions you feel, like in the day that I was in it, and then watching the game itself, and then after the game. Yeah, fantastic for the city, fantastic for the county, and like for the team and the players. Amazing, like, you know, they just kind of come out of nowhere and just blew everyone away, like, really, you know, and they just took their chance, you know what I mean? They were hungry, they were young, and you just see from the start, like, they were just going for it, like, and they didn't care if they put one wide, put another one wide. They were going for it. They were still taking their shots, like, and they were
21 of them wide in the
end.
they
were just, it was incredible, you know, just that they just said they were going to go get it, and they did, like, they had no fear.
Yeah.
And like you said, even though they were having those wides, they were didn't deter them at all. They kept just taking their shots and getting their points and then eventually the goals. And yeah, they nearly came back at the end. Like I was sitting there, there was about 5 Galway guys in front of me, you know, and it was always, they were all, like they left before with about 10 minutes to go of regular time.
Yeah.
And then
seems a few Galway people.
Yeah. And then like when they got to within a point or two, the other lads who were staying were jumping up and like hit me and stuff. And I was getting pretty annoyed. You know, it was sort of a fight in the crowd. It'd be like had they come back, it would have been
pretty brave to punch Andy Lee, I think.
Like. Well, we were having a great crack up to that point, but then obviously it ended well for Limerick.
So they'd clearly clocked you early on. They'd seen you on the way.
Yeah. It was actually the son, Garrod, the son of Ferdy Whelan, a referee, amateur referee, a long time in the National Stadium. So there was kind of a connection there.
Okay.
But a great day, and they were very gracious losers, like all the Galway fans. They were great. Like, you know, they played their part and made it a great day.
What are you thinking when Canning's standing over the last free?
Just get it out, you know. You just do what you have to do. Take one for the team. Get on the line and just hold up. You know what I mean? But
yeah, like that would have been worse than '94. That would have been worse than anything.
It would have put us back into the dark. It would have set us back 20 years. You know, it would have crushed everybody. Like would have been. I don't know, but it's just so happy they got over the line. You know?
Who are Andy Lee's favourite players on this Limerick team?
I like Shane Dallin. You know, he's very well spoken. He's a real character. He kind of sums up the team and the spirit. And Cian Lynch, I know his father. Like his father, when I was boxing, his father used to drive out to the house, just out of the blue, and call into the house and just say, "How are you getting on? You know, how are you keeping?" His father went on to be the Metro Mayor of Limerick. They called the County Mayor of Limerick. And
did you know him before you started calling over to the house, or just?
No, I just would call in and see how we were getting on, and you know how was the boxing going, and you know, he called in like whenever I'd be home.
Wow. And
then I kind of put the connection together. This kid was coming up and he said, "Yeah, that's my son Cian." And then
so you started making a name for yourself in boxing, and this lad just started calling by to check in.
Yeah, his father. Yeah.
It's a bit mad, isn't it?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
Lovely thing.
Yeah, it was nice. It's nice thing in Limerick County, kind of a country county thing, you know.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I mean, if that happens in Dublin, you're calling the police.
But it was really nice, and yeah, he's a real character, isn't he? You know,
Lynch,
I saw the piece.
yeah,
saw the piece in the morning when the reaction to the photo of him and his mother, and
we've just put a picture up there of his mother hugging him on.
A fantastic image, and you know that little piece you just played there with the Cranberries. Like, if they ever need any motivation next season, like put that on. And
it's become the de facto anthem, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, you know they get the Limerick You're a Lady out of the way, and then the Cranberry starts, and the real like the semi-final and then the final, like the real like special moment. I heard that Lois Ridden's mother was in the crowd. Like, I can't imagine what feeling she was feeling watching that. Then watching them win and then hearing her voice ring around the stadium. That must have been
haunting, I'd say, in a way. Beautiful, amazing moment.
But I read somewhere that she was saying she was praying that the Lois would help the boys win. Amazing, like so.
Yeah. Because I saw Cian Lynch's mother being interviewed by Sinead Kassan, I think it was on TV3 then, yesterday at the hotel, and like she was just basically saying, like, you know, I don't care what was happening, I was getting onto the pitch. You know?
She did well.
Plan A, B or C, they weren't stopping me.
There was I watched a few get on, like once they got kind of past the first few, they were kind of just left go, you know?
Yeah.
And the first few stewards, a fair play to them.
Yeah, no, it was an amazing day. Yeah, they are a hell of a team. The youth can work two ways for you. It can kind of make you go within yourself, and the whole final passes you by.
Yeah.
They went the other way.
Yeah, it seems to be like such a good feeling around the camp. They seem to be genuinely be friends and be fighting for each other, you know. It's not artificial or manufactured. They seem to be genuinely doing it for each other, you know, and playing for the manager. And
Shane Dowling was so obviously Shane Dowling's coming up, and we've spoken to him already, because I would say getting them at this time of the evening now is a bad idea live on the radio. So we got him earlier on. We'll play it for you at 7:30. I think it's a really brilliant interview. He's great in a few things, but he was talking about the genuine friendship that's there in the team now. He was talking about how they sing songs after the game. Like, we played John Kiley yesterday being interviewed, and you can literally hear the whole team singing World of Our Own, Westlife from the dressing room on the inside, which he blames on Cian Lynch. He says Lynch has terrible taste in music, for the record. But he's saying we've started having fun again this year, which was an interesting thing for him to say. He was saying, last couple of years, look, everyone's working hard, but just the joy went out of it a bit, or the crack, or like drinks after a match, or a bit of socialising. And he's like, this year, you know, stuff like the music in the dressing room, going out after games, there's just been a bit of happiness about us still doing the work, but a bit of happiness there.
Well, like they have to enjoy this time, you know, for the next few weeks. But the challenge is to try to maintain it and get back. You know, if it's been so long since we've had success, it'd be easy. And being so young was probably another pitfall that they might fall into, that they're thinking, you know, to enjoy it too much, you know. So enjoy it for now, but then I have to get back on the horse, you know, soon enough and get ready, because everybody else will be getting ready straight away, you know.
Target on their back now, don't they? Terry's texting to say, I watched Andy box 3 times in UL over the years. It's an unbelievable sporting city. And that line, an unbelievable sporting city or county, has been thrown around a lot over the last few days. Limerick is a sporting county.
Yeah.
What's your sense of that? I mean, we're all inclined to say that about wherever we're from.
Yeah, I think...
Do you think Limerick's a bit special?
I think so. And I don't know if it stems from kind of the bad rap that the city has gotten for so long, that when something positive comes out of Limerick, the people really get behind it and like to highlight it and promote it. You know, if you meet guys like Paul O'Connell, they're always fiercely proud about being from Limerick, you know, and they do their best to promote the city. So I would say it maybe stems from that.
It's an interesting point. When you think about it, the Stab City thing is just a dreadful bestowed on like everybody in the city.
Like that seems to have passed now. You know, there's a lot of positive stories coming out of Limerick. There's this new Troy Studios is being built there. They're shooting a big series for American TV shows. There's a new opera house being built in the city. It's been commissioned, and there's a lot of like tech companies in that base themselves in Limerick. So yeah, there's a lot of positives there in Limerick. And
but you reckon at that time, over the last while, something positive in
well, I think sport kind of, all that stuff doesn't really but sport transcends all the thing, and I think this will give the county a huge boost, you know. Like had we lost, it would have gone completely the other way, but this is great for the county, you know, great for the city, and we'll pick everybody up.
Yeah, and Limerick produces lots of brilliant sports people as well. You know, you forget the O'Connells of the world, and they're the heartbeat of Munster in so many ways. Cork people, I know, won't be happy saying that, but you know, it's Shannon and it's
Keith
Limerick.
Earls, you know, you can go on and on and on. This, like
Keith Earls went in actually and spoke to the hurling team.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, and they actually pre-season did a boxing event, you know that?
Yeah.
In my old club, St. Francis, my coach Ken Moore trained them all, and they had a for charity boxing event, and that was probably part of pre-season training. So
yeah, they were talking about it. They were saying it was. I mean, I guess every success has so many cooks, and you know, defeats an orphan and all that. But they were talking about that night as a real bonding experience, and getting in and beating the head off each other, and you know, like a few of them mentioned it actually.
Sports psychologist is getting a lot of
Caroline
praise. Yeah. So
she's been involved with 4 now.
It'd be interesting to talk to her if you could get her on the show one night.
Yeah, I think she's been on a few times, or certainly on a panel a while back, and she worked with O'Connell as well. She comes across him, or he comes across her. He writes about it in his book where I think she was coming to the end of her education. I don't know, was it a master's or what, but she asked as part of her thesis to sit down and talk to him, figuring that he would have all the answers and he'd be at the cutting edge of sports psychology. And was shocked that it turned out that O'Connell actually was doing everything arseways. It was all based on emotion.
Yeah.
You know, and she realised that he was, you know, spending the week thinking of all the bad things people had said about him to get angry.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, no, this is basically everything that you're not meant to do. So then she started working with him, ironically.
Because it was that, remember, he used to be labelled with that intense Paul O'Connell kind of...
manic aggression.
Yeah. And then he kind of, towards the end, he kind of was cool and calculated.
Yeah. Did you ever dabble in sports psychologist?
On and off, yeah. Sometimes I have a love-hate relationship with it, you know. I think the best athletes or the best boxers would naturally are their own psychologists, you know, but sometimes I think they create the problem they're trying to solve. That you might just be grand, or you just be, you know, especially I think for young, I don't know, everyone's different, you know, everyone's different.
Thing.
Yeah, I never really relied on it too much.
You always struck me as quite thoughtful anyway.
Yeah, I was always questioning what they were saying to me, you know, I was always never bought into it, I guess, and that's the main thing. You have to buy into it, something like that you really do have to buy into it.
Would you reach out to a psychologist then, a good or a bad time, or when would you actually be looking for one?
Both, really, both. Like with the amateur teams, there was psychologists brought in to us to speak at different times, and I guess I would have always been the one who would have been challenging them, you know, or...
Yeah, it's fair enough. I think they have to prove that they've got credentials and they can answer your questions.
We worked a lot with Brendan Hackett, and I found he was quite good, you know. Unfortunately, with my Olympics, he didn't get an Olympic accreditation because there was only one boxer. So I had like really limited time with him during the Olympics, but it felt depressing at times. Different times I would have talked with Jerry Hussey, and he's quite good, you know. He would have helped me out quite a bit, but only for short periods because I wouldn't never fully go into it.
Fair enough. We should start a news round. It's getting away from ourselves. So Shane Dowling's on the way. Myself and Andy are going to chat after 8 o'clock. There's a lot going on in boxing, so we'll talk about everything after 8. Noel Hunt will join us as well before the football show. The news round is brought to you this evening with Screwfix.ie, championing the trade with a choice of over 20,000 quality trade products. And Will, you're starting with the Paralympics.
Yeah, it's been a good couple of hours for the Irish team. They've won 2 gold medals. Jason Smith successfully defending his 200 metres T13 title. The Dairyman's broken his own championship record in clocking 21.44 seconds in Berlin, not too far outside his world record time as well. Lithuanian-born Greta Stremakita has landed gold in the 1500 metres as well. There was disappointment from Meade's Paul Keoghan. It seemed he was going to go on the podium and make it 3 medals in a very quick-fire period for Ireland on day 1, but he finished just outside the podium in 4th place in the 400 metres T37 final.
Yeah, great stuff.
We have one of the most expensive League of Ireland players ever and one of the most expensive League of Ireland teenagers ever as well. Premier League champions Manchester City today have agreed a fee with Shamrock Rovers, €400,000 for 16-year-old goalkeeper Gavin Bazunu from Shamrock Rovers. The clubs have agreed that initial fee for the Republic of Ireland underage international, which would see him sign a 4-year contract with City after he sits his leaving cert next summer. He's the youngest player ever to represent Rovers at first team level. Broke into the team in July. I think a lot of people probably saw the video of his penalty save down at Cork City. And he'd been tracked by Tottenham Hotspur, who reportedly had a bid of around 400,000 refused a couple of weeks ago as well.
Fantastic stuff. Dan McDonald's in later on, so we'll ask him about Gavin. Amazing story. 16, I'd say he can't believe what's going on in his life right now, but fantastic. We'll talk to Dan later on. This Paul Pogba, Raiola, Paul Scholes thing, can you distill this down? What's going on here? Who said what when?
Well, Paul Scholes did an interview first of all, and he was talking about Paul Pogba, and he was maybe criticising his lack of leadership qualities and so on. And then he was saying, should Pogba be captain, or is he maybe being flattered by Mourinho by being given the armband for the first few games of the season? Mino Raiola, who's never short of a thing to say, Paul Pogba's agent to Zlatan Ibrahimovic and a series of other big players as well. He claims Scholes has no idea about leadership. He ironically suggested United should now give their former midfielder a job so he could advise the club to put Pogba up for sale. Plenty of rumours about Barcelona coming in for Pogba this month as well. He said in his tweet, some people need to talk for the fear of being forgotten. Paul Scholes wouldn't recognise a leader if he was in front of Sir Winston Churchill. Scholes should become a sports director. Advise Woodward now to sell Pogba. We'd have many sleepless nights trying to find Pogba a new club.
I know you're a United supporter. You must be thrilled with how it's all shaping up so far, Andy. It's all going great.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it? It's kind of blanking it to some stage. You know, I kind of just been, I don't know, just turned off by that. Like just let them play it out. Come back to me when, I know maybe I'm a fair weather fan, but sort it out amongst yourselves and then start playing when the football's good, I'll come back, you know. But
Pat Nevin was on the football show last night. Gary Breen was as well, and they were both saying the Mourinho stuff feels a bit more serious this year. This feels like this is actually the end, potentially. Yeah. It's hard to know, of course, but something feels very wrong. Yeah, well, it just seems to be, between all this stuff with the agents and the players, their lack of, with bad attitudes, and then this Ed Woodward stuff, you know. Did you see last night Gary Neville was pointing out that Woodward sat in the crowd for 2 or 3 minutes afterwards? Undermining, which is quite a good point. He seems quite sympathetic towards Mourinho, you know, in some way, kind of giving him a bit of a free pass, like they're not backing him. I'm surprised at Neville on that point, because like they signed Lindelof, they signed by both Mourinho signings. It's not like Chris Smalling and Phil Jones are utterly hopeless. Like if Mourinho's some calibre of coach, he could get a tune out of one of them, or you know, find something out of the four to work. And it's like Neville saying, look, they've only half built the house here. Yeah, I know. I think it's hard to know where he's a very demanding, in terms of what he wants as from players, you know, in terms of he's not a coach who's going to coach a player, he's going to buy the player he wants. I thought it was interesting, Joe, like basically Woodward and Mourinho have gone 2 different directions this summer. If Mourinho has genuinely handed in that list of 5 players, and particularly if they were older players like Diego Godin, who they tried to sign over the age of 30, I'm getting the feeling Woodward went, I'm not signing the older players. Yeah. I get the feeling he was probably happy enough for Anthony Martial to leave the club, and they went, we're not selling them. So at this point, should Woodward not have stepped in at that stage and said, look, Mourinho's not the right guy to bring us forward? You almost make a break at that point. You get that feeling this is careering towards a divorce at the end of the season, no matter what happens now. Yeah, the problem is they gave Mourinho a big contract extension not so long ago. I mean, none of this is new with him. Yeah, this is Mourinho's modus operandi. Get an older, established player on high wages, and he's not worried about developing young players. Wait, has he ever developed a young player? Not
Not particularly. I mean, you think maybe Ian Robin, but he came in kind of almost ready-made.
It wasn't bad at the start, from memory.
And then Robin obviously leaves the club. He's had good players given, the course of the clubs he's had. But he always, for me, seems most happy when he's at somewhere like Inter Milan, where the team are of a certain mentality and of a certain age level, and he can then drill them into a system. Did that with Real Madrid in the second season. But what tends to happen with Mourinho is year 3 comes around and things start to go to pot. He very rarely will stay beyond the 3rd season. I just think it seems to be happening again.
It does, it's amazing, really. We'll talk more about it, I'm sure, tonight, tomorrow night, the night after that. The night after that. Where are we going next?
Some Republic of Ireland players who are on the move. Rotherham manager Paul Warren says he's hopeful but not convinced that they can agree a deal with Brighton to loan Richie Towell for the rest of this season. The former Republic of Ireland under-21 international was very impressive on loan there last year, scoring 6 goals to help them get promoted via the playoffs back up to the Sky Bet Championship. Republic of Ireland under-21 defender Jimmy Dunn has moved to Hearts on loan this evening until January. He's made that switch after agreeing a new contract through to June 2020 with his parent club Burnley. Hearts have a bit of an injury crisis at the defence at the moment, so there's probably a chance for him to get some first team football over the next few months as well. Tipperary under-21 hurling manager Liam Cowell spoke to us today. It was press day ahead of this weekend's final where Tip take on Cork. He admits the vacant senior role in the county is a job that interests him. He's reportedly one of the main contenders to succeed the 2016 All-Ireland winning boss Michael Ryan, who stepped down this summer. Tipperary faced Cork in that final, and ahead of the game Cowell has said he would consider taking the job. He was speaking tomorrow at Thraston Calig if he's approached by Tipperary County Board.
Sure, I'd be telling lies really if I said you wouldn't. When you're a tip man and you're involved in Tipperary hurling, the ultimate is when you finish playing is to be a manager of the Tipperary senior hurling team. But there's a lot of defining factors as to whether or not that role would be the right role for me to take on at present. So obviously if I was asked or if I am to be asked, I'll definitely give it consideration, but really there's a lot more to it than just saying yes, to be honest. There's no question the talent is there. That's number one. You'd look at it and you'd say, have you a chance? Of course you have a chance. In Tip we always feel we have a chance, but there would be a bit of tweaking to be involved, I suppose, around personnel and stuff like that. And again, I've said it earlier, really the appointment of the manager is a big appointment, but I think whoever is going to be on this manager's ticket will be equally as important, if not more, to whether or not there can be a resurgence in this current Tipperary squad.
There we are, interesting times in Tipperary. And then on to Tyrone as the build-up continues to the All-Ireland final. You were up at the press night? Press morning?
Press morning, yeah.
It was a fry for everybody, wasn't there?
There's an Ulster fry to start the day up in Garvaghey in the training centre, which is shaped in a big T. It's very nice, put it together in 2013. They felt at that stage it was a case of rebuilding almost symbolically after their teams come up to 2008. They probably didn't think they were going to wait 10 years to get back to an All-Ireland football final, but here they are again.
You're saying it's very nice now, but you announced to the Off the Ball office earlier on that you thought the T was a giant waste of space. It wasn't an efficient use of space. There's too many corners in it that don't work.
The architect in me started to wonder, the edge of a T doesn't exactly leave much room for an office or anything else. Aesthetically, it's very interesting. You go over it in a helicopter, it looks great, but I'm not sure it's the most practical of designs.
By all accounts, the time that Mickey Hart gave everybody, the time that everybody gave everybody, the players as well, was as good as it gets. It was brilliant.
Very relaxed, kind of. I've done a few press days ahead of All-Ireland finals over the years. Probably the most relaxed I've ever been to. Massive media presence from the local papers in Ulster and maybe just from some of the neighbouring counties as well. A lot of radio stations there, TV stations from the north as well who wanted to speak to Mickey Hart and the players, all made available, and everyone was pretty calm ahead of the final.
Any news lines you want to bring us?
Well, Conor Myler is going to be okay to play in the final. That was their big injury concern. They knew before the final that Colin McCarran would be unable to play because he hurt his knee last month. The fear was that maybe Myler, after missing the semi-final, would be out, but he's okay to play. I spoke to Matty Donnelly, their captain. He's hoping their familiarity with Dublin can help in the final. It's a first appearance in the decider since they last lifted Sam Maguire back in 2008. The showdown with the Dubs will be their fourth meeting between the sides in little over 12 months. Dublin inflicted a 12-point defeat on the Red Hand in the semi-finals last year, but Donnelly says they're not intimidated by facing the defending champions.
No, it's not. Daunting hasn't crossed my mind. It's just pure excitement. As I say, we've always given a good account of ourselves when we get to All-Ireland finals throughout all the age groups, and we'll plan to do that in 2 weeks' time. Now, whatever the result is, you can't tell it, and no one can tell now, but we can just hope we give a good performance.
Are there learnings from the semi-final defeat against the Dubs last year?
The learnings would be that if you don't perform, you're going to be in the end of a bad beating, so we just have to go out and perform.
I'd imagine as well it's going to be who works the hardest in this final as well, because throughout the year you've been trying to turn over possession as a team, you've been working hard from the forwards back. Dublin do something very, very similar. I would imagine there's going to be a lot of attempted turnovers, a lot of hard work for everyone on the field that day.
Yeah, look, both teams are extremely well conditioned. They obviously try to turn the other team over as much as possible, but a lot of that's going to come down to decision making too, and who has the ball, and offensively making the right decisions and making sure you're keeping the ball as much as you can, because you get turned over against the other team, they're up the other end in the blink of an eye, and that's extremely energy sapping.
It sure is. With that in mind, I should tell you about our show we're doing next Thursday, 30th of August, and it's a fantastic lineup. We're going to have Kieran McGeeney there, James Horan and Jim McGuinness. Jim McGuinness confirmed yesterday. We'll also have Aidan O'Shea and Cora Staunton, so it's a brilliant evening ahead. I think it's an exclusive off-air event, I should tell you, but we're going to give you a chance to win a pair of VIP tickets this evening. You get the best seats in the house and a meet and greet with the guests afterwards. So again, it's McGeeney, James Horan, Jim McGuinness, Aidan O'Shea, Cora Staunton and more. To be in with a chance of winning, just identify our mystery voice, who will only eat his steaks when cooked a particular way.
Rare enough, I have to say.
We know how that is, do we? Everybody knows.
Rare enough, I have to say.
Text your name and answer 53106 for 30 cents. We'll announce the winner later on in the show. Or else, if you do want to come along and you don't win the tickets, get on to offtheball.com/events now to get your tickets. It's for Thursday week, 30th of August at Croke Park. And I'm just seeing we've confirmed one more guest now. Peter Canavan is going to be there as well. Enough. We've got enough guests here. This is too many. So that's going to be a brilliant night. So hopefully you can join us one way or another. That is our news round done for this evening. Andy is back after 8 o'clock. Shane Dowling is next.
Off the Ball on News Talk.
Thanks to Screwfix.ie, championing the trade with a choice of over 20,000 quality trade products.